Hello everyone, welcome to your science class, that means biology class. So today we will start a new chapter which is chapter number 4. The name is Animal Kingdom. Okay, as you have read that in the first chapter there is classification system, that means biological classification. There you have got that there are some kingdoms are there. Okay, so under that kingdom we have read that 5 kingdom classification. So what are these 5 kingdoms? Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, Animalia. Today we will start with the last kingdom, which is Animalia kingdom. So before starting or before knowing the different animals in that under that kingdom, we will first know some terms which will define the different properties of that kingdom. So, what are the different properties or what are the different criteria of this animal kingdom? First, we will start with that means basis of classification. Basis of on which basis we are classifying the animals so that they are grouped under different phylum. So what are these? These are like different arrangement of cells. How the cells are arranged in their body structure, nature of xylem, their type of digestive system, respiratory system, circulatory system, how many germ layers are present inside their body, their reproductive type of reproductive systems, okay, their body level organization. These are the some criteria on that the classification has been done. So first we will start with the level of organization. So before that, if we consider the habitat of an animal, we can find that there are different types of habitat. If we first divide into two, that is terrestrial habitat and aquatic habitat. And under that aquatic habitat, we will find some freshwater animals, some marine animals, okay, and some zooplankton. So zooplankton means which are floating on the water surface. Some nectons, that means which can swim freely in the water. Some benthos, that means organisms which are on the lower surface of the water body, that means on the floor of the water body. Okay, so these are the some aquatic habitat. And what are the different terrestrial habitats? That means some are fossorial, that means they can burrow and live like earthworm. Some are arboreal, that means they can live on trees. Some are cursorial, they are adapted to run fast. Some are like that. There are different types of terrestrial habitat we can find. Okay, so first what we have considered, that is habitat, and under that habitat there is main two types, that is aquatic and terrestrial. T-R-I-S-A. Aquatic means those who can live inside the water, and terrestrial means those who are living inside the land. And under that there are different types I have discussed. Next, if we consider the lifestyle. So what is lifestyle? Lifestyle of animals, that means they can live freely or they can live together. Okay, freely, they can live freely. And under that free living condition, we can find some type, that is some animals can live alone. They are called as solitary. Okay, so some will be arranged in groups. They will be called as colonial. Another term we will find that gregarious animals. That means they will live in large groups but will not help one another. Okay, so what are they? You will find that two terms mostly, that is solitary and colonial. You know that what does that term mean? Solitary means those who will live or those who can stay alone, and if they are living together, that is called as colonial form. Okay, and some of them will be parasite. That means they will be dependent on their host. That means on other organisms, animals for their food and shelter. These are called as parasites, and parasites may be ectoparasites. Those who will live outside the body will be called as ectoparasite, and those who will live inside the body of another organism is called as endoparasites. Okay, so these are the different types of lifestyle we can find. Next, if we consider the food habit, we will find different types of food habits like herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. That means herbivore means those who will eat only plant products. Carnivore means they will eat only animal products, and omnivore means those who will eat both plants and animals. And sanguinivorous, that means the organism which will eat the or suck the blood of other organisms, they are called as sanguivorous. Okay, except is fungivore, saprozoic animals, that means those who will eat the dead decaying materials, will take it as food, they are called as saprozoic. And those who will eat the fecal matter, they will call as coprozoic. And as you know that detrivores, that decaying organic matter, they will eat. So these are the some examples of different types of food habit. Okay, so next, if we consider the body temperature. So let me write the different food habits once. Herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, detrivore, saprozoic, coprozoic, cannibals, sanguivores, etc. Okay, so whenever we will read the different phylum under that animal kingdom, we will find these type of terms. Okay, so I am explaining all these terms here. That time you need to understand that what does that term mean. Okay, so I am repeating. Herbivore means eating only plant and plant products. Carnivore means eating only animal and animal products. Omnivore means both plants and animals. Detrivores means there's decaying organic matter called detritus. They will take it as therefore. Saprozoic means that means decaying organic matter. There are housefly. Coprozoic means they will feed on the fecal matter. Cannibals means they will eat the other animals of this group. And sanguivores means they will feed on the blood of other animals. Okay. So next part, what is that? Body temperature. So according to that body temperature, we will find mainly According to body temperature, we can differentiate animals into two groups, that is poikilotherms and endotherms. Okay, poikilotherms alternative names are poikilotherms or ectotherms or cold-blooded, and in that case homotherms or endotherms or warm-blooded animal. Okay, so in case of poikilotherms, what will happen? The body temperature will change according to their environmental temperature. They can't keep their body temperature constant. Okay, so body temperature will change according to the changes with the environmental condition. So in which organism we can find? That is amphibians, frogs, lizards. They are poikilotherms. And what about endotherms or homeotherms? That means that animals which maintains a inside constant body temperature. They will not change their body temperature according to their temperature of the environment. So they will keep a constant body temperature. They are called endotherm. It is found in mainly birds and mammals. Birds and mammals. Okay. So this is another term. Now if we consider that what type of excretory material they will release, according to that animals can be divided into three types, that is okay. That is what type of nitrogenous waste will be excreted through the body. So in that animals can be differentiated into three. If they are releasing ammonia, they will be called as ammonotelic. If they excrete urea, they will be called as ureotelic. And if the excretory nitrogenous waste is uric acid, then they will be called as uricotelic. Okay, so this is the nature of nitrogenous waste which are released from the body. Now we know some basic terms or basic features of these animals, and now we will proceed to the next topic, that is level of organization. So as we know that our body is made up of cells, and cells will aggregate to form tissue, and some tissue will form an organ, and some organs will form organ system level of organization. Okay, so if cells are arranged as loose cell aggregation, it is called as cellular level of organization. It is found in lower organism. That means I am repeating, if cells are arranged in loose aggregations, this type of arrangement is called as cellular level of organization. And if that means they are not grouped into tissues. So it is found in mainly sponges. So sponges are under porifera. So example is porifera. Next is tissue level of organization. That means they are cells which are performing the same function. They will be under that. They will form a tissue, and this is called as tissue level of organization. And in that case particular, you can see the division of labor has been started from that tissue level of organization. So in which case we will find the tissue level of organization, that is Nidaria or Coelenterata. Neither here. Okay. There we will find tissue level of organization. Next is organ level of organization. That means cells are grouped into tissues and tissues will form an organ. So in that case you can understand that their organ, that means division of labor can be found. Okay, so this type of arrangement is called as organ level. That means particular organ is specialized for particular function. This type of organization is called as organ level body organization. Example is Platyhelminthes. Next is organ system level of organism. So organs are associated and will form a particular system, like that for respiratory system, excretory system, reproductive system, digestive system. These are the different systems and different organs are associated with this system. Different organs are performing functions so that this is doing their job perfectly. Okay, so in that case particularly we can find that division of labor we can find it here. So this is called as organ system level of organization. And what are the examples? That is in higher organisms like Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Chordata, Hemichordata. These are the different levels of organ system level of organization. Okay, so we have seen 4 types of level of organization. We will divide the animal kingdom in under these 4 categories. Okay, so next is body symmetry. So first basis of classification, first one is level of organization, second one is body symmetry. So under this body symmetry we will find some types. That is, there are mainly 3 types: asymmetrical, bilaterally symmetrical, radially symmetrical. So under this body symmetry we will find mainly 3 types of. First one is asymmetrical, asymmetrical. Second one is radial symmetry, and last one is bilateral symmetry. So what does that term mean? Asymmetrical. Asymmetrical means any plane that passes through the center and that does not divide the body into equal halves are called as asymmetrical. So if any plane like that, if we consider an amoeba, okay, if we consider an amoeba and if we pass any plane according to the center, they will not divide that body of the organism into 2 equal halves. That type of condition is asymmetrical. A means absent, as we know. That means in that case symmetry is absent. Okay. So if we pass any plane throughout the body of the amoeba, we will not find the 2 equal halves, or that is called as asymmetrical. Then is radial symmetrical. What is radial symmetrical? I am drawing one. Radial symmetrical means if any plane passes through the central axis and divides it into 2 equal halves, then it is called as radial symmetrical or radial symmetry. I am repeating, if any plane passes through the central axis, that term is mainly important. That means central axis. We are passing through that plane throughout the central axis. So, if any plane passes through the central axis and it divides the body of the organism into two identical parts, that type of symmetry is called as radial symmetry. Okay. So, last one is bilateral symmetry. Okay. I am drawing. When the body can be divided into identical left and identical right halves only in one plane, then it is called as bilateral symmetry. Okay, when the body will divide into identical left and identical right, when a plane passes through only one axis, this is called as bilateral symmetry. It is called as bilateral. Only one plane will pass. Okay. Only one plane will pass and they will differentiate the body into two identical halves, that means identical left and identical right. That type of symmetry is called as bilateral symmetry. So you can see the examples of that, means in case of radial symmetry, examples are Nidaria, Ctenophora. In case of Porifera, we will not find any type of symmetry. And bilateral symmetry can be found in different types of organisms, as you can see. That is mollusca, chordata, and that one arthropoda. These are the examples of animals or phylum which are showing bilateral symmetry. Okay, so you have to remember these type of symmetries. And so next type is body organization. So for today that's it. In our next class we will proceed to the third type of basis of classification, which is the body organization. That means the animal is diploblastic or triploblastic, like that. Okay. So for today, thank you.